Okay, we're about to get started, so if someone would be kind enough to close the back door of the room, I'd greatly appreciate it. And please silence your phones like I'm doing now. Greatly appreciate that as well. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We are on the record. Today is Monday, the 12th day of June in the year 2023. This is a City Council Caucus meeting of the Jersey City Municipal Council. We had a scheduled 4 p.m. start. The clock on my cell phone is showing for 10 p.m. May we have a roll call for the commencement of this caucus? Councilperson Ridley.
Stepped away, should be.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Here.
Councilperson Baggiano. Councilperson Saleh is going to be here. Councilperson Solomon.
Here. The meeting's over.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Present.
Councilperson DeGise. Councilperson Rivera.
Here.
And Council President Waterman. We have 7 members, council members in attendance at 4:10 p.m. On behalf of Council President Waterman and the Municipal Council in accordance with New Jersey Public Laws of 1975, Chapter 231, the Open Public Meetings Act, also known as the Sunshine Law, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by the posting on the bulletin board of the first floor of City Hall, the annual notice, which is the schedule of meetings and caucuses of the Municipal Council for the calendar year 2023 and filed in the office of the Municipal Clerk on Thursday, December 15, 2022. In addition, at the time of its preparation, the agenda of this meeting was similarly disseminated on Friday, June 9th, 2023 at 5:35 p.m. to the mayor, municipal council, mayor, business administrator, corporation council, and the local newspapers and posted on the city's website. So I can certify as to our total compliance with the Sunshine Law. Council President, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Good afternoon. Our first director up is Director Shea.
Evening. Good evening, Council President, council members. The Department of Public Safety has 5 items for your consideration this evening. The first one is agenda number 10.16, Resolution 23451. It's a resolution authorizing us to accept a grant award from the State of New Jersey's Office of the Attorney General for the Safe and Secure Communities Fiscal Year 2023 Grant Program. Basically, the grant makes available to us partial funding for 8 police officers based on our meeting the minimum that the Safe and Secure Communities requires for our population. So it's going to give us $108,000 that we can apply toward those 8 salaries, and we're going to accept if you agree. We do not have to hire new officers for this. This just helps us pay for our existing officers. Next. Agenda number 10.17, Resolution 23452. It authorizes the award of a contract to Lawman Supply Company of New Jersey for the purchase and delivery of federal tactical ammunition for our emergency service unit. It's in the amount of $30,256. And this is for their training requirements during the year, both Attorney General mandated training and Jersey City training, including de-escalation training, and for their actual use.
Any questions? Next.
Okay, President Pro Temp. 10.18. This is a 10.18. Resolution 453. It's a resolution authorizing the Jersey City Department of Public Safety to accept funding from the U.S. Department of Justice, Office of Community-Oriented Policing, COPS grant for participation in the COPS hiring fiscal year 2022. This funding can be used to pay the salaries of newly hired law enforcement officers, and it will give us funds to assist with the cost of paying the salary of 15 newly highly hired police officers. Council knows from our budget conversations, we're waiting to see the retirements on July 1st, but we do anticipate hiring at least some police officers this year, and these 15 now will be defrayed by the federal government if we accept this grant.
Copy of or something that really speaks to the totality of that is off? Okay. If we can get something that speaks to the actual totality of the manpower that the police department have, because I've been seeing articles about it's this amount, and then it was like that amount include officers that are retired and they're, how do I say it? They're retired or they're on roll, but when they come back, they'll go into retirement. So we can get something with the actual manpower of officers that's going to work every day.
Yeah, sure. I'm not sure what anybody would be talking about. We don't have anybody who's off roll and then comes back on and retires, but I can get you a count of how many police officers of each rank we have right now.
Okay, thank you.
Next, sir. Okay. File number, agenda number 10.19, resolution 23454, resolution authorizing an agreement with Interaction Insight Corporation for the Eventide voice recording system for the Department of Public Safety without public bidding. This is a proprietary system. We've had it for a while. It costs us $39,600 for January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023. That's the system we use in our 911 center, both for recording all incoming and outgoing calls and recording what's going on in the center environmentally around these calls. Required, helps the law department when any notices or claims come in, and helps us investigate any complaints of non-respondents to any of our 911 or non-emergency calls.
Questions?
If I can proceed, our final one, agenda 10.20, resolution 23455. This is for an award for the contract with Gold Type Business Machines for providing maintenance and support systems for our public safety IT land computers, the Zetron system in the fire department, and the NCIC 2000 without public bidding. The reason this one goes without public bidding is that those three systems tie into the state's systems, and you must have the certifications that this company has to work on and maintain those systems. We can't just hire someone. They are the only company that has all these certifications required by the state. Thank you. Thank you, council members.
And as Director Caucus is making his way to the podium, just want to record Councilperson Ridley present at 4:13 p.m. and Councilperson Saleh at 4:15 p.m. So we have all 9 council members present. Director.
Good evening, President Waterman, members of the council. I have 3 resolutions before you today for Public Works. Resolution 23-466, 10.31. Resolution will authorize award of a contract to Sherwin-Williams Company for the purchase and delivery of a thermal laser machine and peripherals for the DPW Division of Buildings and Streets to perform roadway maintenance such as crosswalks, curbs, fire hydrant zones, stop lines, and bus stops. Total amount of this purchase is $33,537.47, and it's available in the DPW capital account. Next resolution is 23-467, 1032. Resolution will authorize the Department of Public Works Division of Automotive Services to use publicsurplus.com online public auction to sell 29 motor vehicles and other motorized equipment in as-is condition, no longer needed for public use. And the last is Resolution 23-468, 1033. Resolution will authorize an award of contract to Continental Hardware Incorporated through the Hudson County Co-op. The agreement for equipment and supplies for the library project. The total amount of this contract is $145,697.02 and is available in the DPW capital account. Nice evening.
Good afternoon, Council President and council members. I have 3 items in front of you today. The first being item number 10.52. It's resolution 23-487. It's a resolution providing local support for Bud Space LLC to operate a Class 5 retail cannabis business. Bud Space will be located at 270 Newark Avenue. It was approved by the CCB on September 22nd, 2022. And the planning board on May 9th, 2023. That resolution from the planning board will be memorialized on 6/13/23 tomorrow.
Council President. So I have a short term and maybe big term. So this isn't really directed at you, it's more for my colleagues. So I do have a concern with this application. The specifics to this application are that they're adjacent to directly across from a school and a daycare, but they have not met with the school or the daycare. They have not met with the neighborhood association. They have not met with me. So there's been zero communication between this applicant and anybody in the community. So at a minimum, I would, before voting, would want those things to happen. But then more broadly, and this gets, I guess, to the memo is, I had been telling folks in the community, hey, we did a moratorium. So if you have a concern with a specific application, nothing's going to move until we pass a new ordinance. But now we're being told something different. So obviously, I just not thrilled that I'm telling folks in the community one thing and then getting a new answer. But I just wanted if we can get a little more clarity around, what we're doing with applications more broadly.
I agree. You got something, Rich?
No, I was gonna say, how could they approve this if it's next to a school?
It's daycare, but
Daycare.
the school is expanding ages. So, but that hasn't been a conversation, right? They don't know what the school's doing. There hasn't been a conversation there.
That was my concern too, what Councilman Solomon is saying, because based on what we have put forth, the public felt like, we wasn't seeing anymore until they come up with another solution. And based on what you have gave us counseling before, you said we could not. Now they do appear before us, and what you don't realize is the public do call us to find out more answers. I think sometimes you don't understand that. That's the only word.
Oh, no, and,
Because they call us constantly, and we keep saying nothing is going forth. There's a board that's meeting, and based on new ordinance that's going to come forth, we'll have a better answer for you. And I know when we had the meeting in May, I thought you had said at that time there was like 6 in the portal or whatever, and I thought we had voted on 4 before and 2 before. So that's why we're asking. We're confused again.
and
This is our corporate.
I apologize if there was any confusion there. However, I will just state, I do believe, given analysis of the situation, that applicants who did make their applications prior to certainly the announcement of the moratorium would potentially have, there would be a potential complaint there that the rules were changed halfway through the game, so to speak. And for that reason, I recommend it would be prudent to handle the applications that were filed certainly before the moratorium was announced. Also, if we are being abundantly cautious, I would even recommend hearing the ones that were filed before the effective date of that moratorium, which was May 15th. Obviously, I will remind the council that ultimately the decision to issue the letter of support is up to the discretion of the council. And that can involve any number of factors that the council believes are relevant to the business. The concerns that Councilman Solomon raised are certainly viable and justifiable concerns that can be addressed. That said, I think the memo that was issued, those were my recommendations to the council. As I sit here now, I do not know how many applications are pending. I refer to Mr. Woodson, but I think he may have some more information there.
I thought it was 6. The number 6 was put out there. I didn't make this number up or anything like that. Because we did ask that question because it was one night that we all were here and there were applicants that was out here. And I know some of the council people went down to assure them that their application would be put on the next agenda, and it was, and that was it. So now you're saying something different. I'm telling you, telling me too many things. I don't know. Am I confused? That's what happened. That's what took place last time. That's what I'm saying. We saying one thing, we doing another. We do have memory here. And I remember that night because they stayed to make sure. And 2 of the council people got down, had a discussion and said, we will put forth those applications on the next agenda. We did that. Okay. Because they were worried about not being approved. We did that. And from that point, that was it.
And council, again, I specifically do not recall whether that any numbers or anything was thrown out of that nature. Nevertheless, I believe, we do have the 2 applicants that are on the meeting tonight. I'm not sure how many we have right now who have received both approval from the Cannabis Control Board and the Planning Board. I believe that number is Maynard?
Actually, as far as the number of applications in the pipeline,
In the pipeline.
excluding the two that we have on tonight that were received before May 15th, there are 47.
What? So,
When did it? See, here we got another number.
So the question to clarify for the pipeline, is this in various stages of approval? Are there 47 that have come through and mostly have just not opened? Or are there an additional 47 that were filed in advance of that deadline?
It's those that had not been seen by the CCB, some that were approved by the CCB but not seen by planning yet, and then brand new applications that were received before the May 15th deadline.
Brand new.
so at what,
Not all of them are brand new, right? All,
No.
there are,
Not all,
vast majority of them were already in the pipeline.
correct.
Okay. I
But
just,
some stage, I mean,
At some
Yes.
stage.
that's the thing. So at what point do we say that's it? Because one applicant is gonna say, hey, we were in this pipeline, or we were at this phase, why can't we go? I was under the impression that we wasn't hearing no more after the few we already heard.
I think the moratorium put the stopgap on the applications, but those in the pipeline still have to be heard.
Yes, and I will point out again that currently this week, the planning board is hearing certain suggested revisions to the ordinance that, if and when approved, or recommendation given by the planning board. The plan at this point is to introduce revisions to the city's cannabis ordinance for first reading at the next meeting. That will address a lot of the, I would say, kind of hitches that we've had in the system that, as I will say, having spoken to my colleagues in other jurisdictions, these are not unique to Jersey City. I think these are things that everybody's kind of dealing with as we go along here. And I think, to the extent that, again, we are not unique in this, in these issues. And it's a new industry and we're kind of getting our feet under us. That is where we stand right now with that. And obviously, be happy to circulate a draft of the proposed revisions that, I think do address a lot of the issues that we've had with timing.
Maynard, I have a question. So isn't it protocol that these entities have to reach out to the community, have to reach out to
Right.
entities where there's like children, within the area, I guess, i.e. schools or daycares? Or I thought that was part of the protocol. I mean, and I think, and if they don't do that, then they should be, like put to the side.
I would say there are notification requirements that exist with this point, with this application. I don't know if that was followed or not. I can't speak to.
But is it protocol? Is it like a written protocol that they have to do that, or?
If they don't, we just vote no.
Part of the,
That's what happens.
Well, that's what we're looking at
I
now.
don't think you just want to vote no. I think you want to give them an opportunity to go back and fulfill that obligation. I think
And I
that's
think,
being
yeah,
fair.
and one thing that is focused, from the state level down, and I apologize if I didn't mean to cut you off there, but from the state level down, community involvement and community connection is a very important quality that is
In the law.
given to the various local boards, to planning, to the governing bodies. And I think that is certainly a reasonable ask.
And the only reason why I'm saying that is because obviously other entities have come down, and they have done that. And like the councilman is saying, well, they have not reached out to either that daycare, nor the community, nor, the council person of that ward. So, it's like, did they do their homework in doing that? Because here we are about to give them a vote on Wednesday.
People should know what's coming in the neighborhood.
Sure. And
Bottom line.
council, I think Maynard and I can check and see what.
a daycare is not a disqualifier.
We know, but we just want them to know what's coming in the neighborhood. We know.
They should reach out.
Do y'all even hear cases that didn't address those thresholds, the community meetings and the reach out to the elected representative? Because I would imagine that once we find out that they didn't do a step or two, then by default, they're almost ineligible to be heard.
There is a requirement of their community outreach as part of their presentation, but it doesn't really specify that they have to contact a particular daycare center. I know there's been a request of either some local block associations and other, agencies
this-
around
this
the area,
organi-
but there's no
This
requirement
organization didn't reach out at
in the
all, right?
ordinance.
Councilman Solomon?
Yeah.
It's that you have to be aware of any of the daycare centers
That's all right.
that are within 200 feet of you.
So, Peter, with regards to this pipeline, are we stop hearing cases at the CCB level or planning? Where are we stopping and when are we stopping?
The Cannabis Control Board, again, once again, to the best of my knowledge and per the moratorium, which was recommended by council to the Cannabis Control Board, was that they are not hearing new applications pursuant to that moratorium date. They are applications filed after that moratorium date.
Yes, but as mentioned earlier,
Huh.
we do have out of at least another 30 out of the 47 that are in the pipeline.
And one of
Before it's being heard tonight.
Y'all have a meeting tonight.
Yes.
So they still hearing applications though. That's what we said.
It wouldn't be fair to just cut it off on people that processed their application, they paid the fee, and they have to have an opportunity to be heard.
Like where either way, they gotta wait at some point anyway.
They do. You can't just push everybody through because
Just
it's
trying
a
to
new app.
get control
Uh,
of what's going
We've
on.
been doing this for almost 2 years now. It might be, is it 2 years? I don't know.
if not two, it's awfully close.
Well, okay, we have to move on here. What we suggest, he would like to meet with these, applicants, okay, before we move forward. I think it's just fair that he meets with them in the community. So do y'all want to table these
Yeah, I
until?
mean, if the administration is comfortable with at least 52, at least waiting until the second meeting in June and just referring to the applicant, just because I'll connect them to the people that have at least reached out to me and asked to have a conversation.
Okay,
For both applications?
yeah,
I'm just saying 52. I don't want to speak for
Oh.
other council members.
All of them.
if the other ones reached out to the community, because I mean, at this point, we don't know, right?
That I'm not sure of. I mean,
Well, just so we clear, the community outreach is kind of like a due diligence. They're not required to do that.
it's part of the application process and the board is expected to review their outreach.
Okay, but the outreach can take different forms.
Yes, depending on the location.
Well, we need to put something to be
So,
very
Yeah,
Let us just table these two and bring them back on the next meeting. And this way here, Maynard, you could find out basically the other one, but did they meet with the community or not?
Okay,
Because the truth of the matter is, we shouldn't have to go through this process. Everything should have taken place, and all we should really do is just make sure all the i's are dotted and t's are crossed, to be perfectly honest. And evidently, something is not. So I just think it's best for us just to slow it down
Okay.
and just let them go to the communities like we asked them to. That's just fair.
Councilman Gilmore, you had mentioned, clarifying that language. That is part of the revisions that we are rolling out later this month.
Perfect, okay.
We passed something at the last council meeting requesting the planning board do some revisions, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Then the next council meeting, there'll be another ordinance first reading.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
That's the track we are on right now. I'll say that much.
All right, so so they'll be back before you know it. Thank you.
I have a second reading. It's item number 4.3. It's the second reading of ordinance number 23-049. That's just establishing the licensing for smoke shops. Most importantly, we're putting a cap of 45 licenses.
Now, with regards to 4.3, man, how does this affect cannabis dispensaries or do it at all?
It doesn't at all.
It doesn't at all, right?
Complete separate.
It's for smoke shops.
Correct.
It just opened a new one.
Say that again.
It just opened a new one yesterday.
Oh,
Everyone, MLK and Forest. They're coming up left and right. I think I'm gonna get me one.
Okay.
So they
this will
can,
help. This ordinance will help.
Yeah, they just, just because before it wasn't nothing.
Any questions? Concerns? I know we have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Christine?
Good evening, Council President and City Council members. I have one item up before you tonight. That's item 10.9, Resolution 444. This is a resolution authorizing a license agreement with Blaine Apartments, allowing the city to enter the property owned by them for use of the space for July 4th. That's the Battery View Apartments. We set up some event equipment in there, food and drink.
President, council members, Lucinda McLaughlin, Recreation and Youth Development. I have 3 resolutions for your consideration today. The first is Resolution 23-463, which pertains to a contract to be awarded to a company called Aquatic Art Unlimited for the repairs at the splash pad and upgrade of the rubber surface at Virginia Avenue Park.
It's agenda number 10.28.
Forgive me, I apologize.
Okay.
Thank you, clerk. Agenda item 10.28. This splash pad surface is a mess. There's a pipe that has collapsed underneath, causing sort of a cavern. So we will be addressing the pipe below, fixing there, and then replacing and repairing the surface above. No questions? Okay. Next item is agenda item 10.29, file number, resolution number, 23-464. This is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to a company called Z-Tech Contracting, and this is to replace the safety surface at Janet Moore Park up in the Heights. The safety surface needs to be addressed, and we have the opportunity to do so right now. And it is, we have the funding, and again, Z-Tech has done some work for us with patching, and we are excited to have this project underway and taken care of.
There a warranty on the surface, like 5 years, or what? Will they maintain it after, you know, it gets fixed up if there's any defects?
Councilman, these are about likely like a 1-year repair. This is not a brand new park. We're not going, 8 feet into the ground, but just as with the prior safety surfaces at Hamilton and Stevens Park, what we did here is we coordinated with engineering and architecture as to, their understanding of the age and nature of the facilities at the park. And we got the green light that it was appropriate for us to repair that surface that surface area. And that would greatly improve what we're looking at.
Okay.
And last, I have item number 10.30, resolution 23-465. I don't know why I can't find the numbers today. I apologize. And this is a resolution actually that pertains to the Monticello playground, which for anyone who is aware, doesn't have a playground. So we're going to remedy that. And we're purchasing the playground equipment to have it purchased and installed at Monticello Park Playground, which will now have both a playground and a garden.
Which one is, so yeah, Emery, that's the park on Emery?
Exactly, Councilman, yes. It's the lot in between the 2 buildings.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any plans on the fixing the back Monticello Park? I know at one point there was this was a while ago when I was actually at Recreation. There were some plans about fixing it because you have one basketball court this way and then the other one that way, which don't give you the ability to play full court. And then the black top, it's like all broken and all that. That's the park on, it's the Monticello and
Storms. Yes, sir. So Councilman, there is no plan at this juncture for Recreation Youth Development to be doing any redesign of those basketball courts. But you know what? We have an opportunity. We've had some opportunities here that we have not had before as a department. And I submit we are making real improvements that are going to have big impacts across the community. So I'm hopeful that with these successes, when additional monies become available, they look to us and say, listen, how can we use these to improve? And this basketball courts at Storms are on our agenda as well. I think they might still have Half Moon basketball courts, backboards from what I can recall. So I'm aware of them, but it's not something I'm here to speak today.
And also, does it make financial sense to have all of the parks done by one entity versus multiple entities? Because it looked like some of the work is similar in scheme.
It depends, Councilman. So like today, I'm talking to you about the third park with a safety surface, and two of them had one vendor, and this is something I'm for you on a different vendor. So Z-Tech, again, it's an opportunity. We're trying to find people who can do the work in a timely manner, which matters a lot. For those of you who talk about safety surface, you know it takes a long time to find a vendor, to get them in, to get the work prepped, and to find the money, right? So right now, it did not make sense for the 3 playgrounds that we are addressing to use the same vendor. We use a state contract vendor for the 2, for Hamilton and Stevens. And then Janet Moore, the amount of money did not go above the public bid threshold, which means we did go to public bid and or did not need to look for a entity who already was under state contract. So this is an opportunity to look to a smaller vendor and accomplish the work as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Council.
One.
Good afternoon, Council President, City Council members. The Department of Health and Human Services has 5 items on the agenda for this evening. Morgan will begin with the first 2 for summer food service program.
Good afternoon, Council President and council members.
Good afternoon.
So the first agenda number is 10.23, and that is a resolution authorizing the Jersey City Department of Health and Human Services to accept the 2023 Summer Food Service Program grant. The grant will start at October 1st and it'll go to September 30th of this year, and it is in the amount of $404,271.30. The next is agenda number 10.27, and that is a resolution authorizing the award of contract to Prime Rib LLC, DBA Riviera Caterers to provide 2023 Summer Food Service Program for the Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Food and Nutrition. So they were the lowest bid, and that came in an amount of $427,224.50. So each breakfast will be $1.90, and each lunch will be $3.55.
Well, can they provide a sample for the council? Like,
I could ask. I could definitely.
yeah, I would definitely love to see what they're giving to residents, you know?
Yeah. I can also
Yes, please.
arrange for pictures because they
Oh,
do
don't,
they were like turkey sandwiches.
don't challenge me. I would love to try though. If you,
Okay, no
in
problem.
all seriousness.
He got a thing here with this food. Next, go ahead.
Okay, resolution 23456, agenda number 10.21. A resolution authorizing the Jersey City Department of Health and Human Services to accept the 2024 WIC Health Services Grant Funds from the New Jersey Department of Health in the amount of $1,874,287 for their next fiscal year. Resolution 23460, agenda number 10.24, a resolution authorizing the execution of an affiliation agreement between the Hudson County Community College and the Jersey City Department of Health and Human Services in providing an internship on observation experiences to HCCC's health service students. And resolution 23461, agenda number 10.26, a resolution authorizing the execution of a memorandum of understanding with Partnership for Maternal and Child Health of Northern New Jersey and WIC to improve maternal and infant health outcomes for women of childbearing age. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Jennifer Drago from Municipal Court. I have one resolution, 23-472, agenda number 10-10.37. This resolution is to exercise the court's first option to renew a one-year contract with Concept Printings for the ATS mailers. That's the court notices that we use for subpoenas. The total contract amount is $79,750, and the term is from 6/1 of 23 through 5/31 of 2024. The court utilizes approved funding from the Parking Offense Adjudication Act for this contract. Thank you.
June.
So how are you?
Good.
All right, my name is Amadi Torres, Program Director for Direct Services, Community Development. I have one item for tonight, item number 1010, Reso 23-445. The owner of 41 Van Nostrand borrowed $66,666.67 through our first-time homebuyer program to purchase their home. They met their affordability period of 15 years. Mortgage is ready for discharge. All right, the second item I will leave to my colleague Peter June to present.
Hello, council members. Nice to meet you all. Happy Monday. I have one item and it is agenda number 10-10.50, resolution number 23-485. And this is a resolution of the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City authorizing an affordable housing trust fund contract with Team Walker, Inc. for the 373-379 Communipal Ave new construction project. And this is for the funding for $800,000 for a mixed-use building. First space is going to be a commercial space, and then with 4 stories on top, 28 units, and 6 of them will be for affordable for youth aging out of foster care. Thank you.
Tricia?
Good evening, Council President and council members. I have one item to present, a resolution 23-440, agenda number 10.5. It's a resolution to cancel a tax sale certificate due to bankruptcy filing by the property owner. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Council President, council members. I have 4 items before you tonight. The first one is 3.2, Ordinance 2358. This ordinance is sponsored by Councilwoman Ridley. There is a small section of Sycamore Road between Gates and Custer that has not been legislated in the code in terms of traffic regulations and parking regulations. So this ordinance would establish stop controlled intersections, on-street parking, and street cleaning. The next one is 3.3, Ordinance 2359. This is to establish street cleaning on 18th Street. We're modifying the extents from Marin to Grove to Jersey to Park Lane. We're extending the on-street cleaning on North Street from Central to Terrace to Central to Tonelli Ave. And on Washington Boulevard, we're establishing on-street cleaning between Park Lane and Newport Parkway. Next one, 3.4, Ordinance 2360. This is to prohibit right turns on red at the intersection of Chapel and Caven Point Road. Next is agenda number 3.5, Ordinance 2361, and this is for reserve parking for the disabled. All of these locations were approved on the committee meeting on May 2nd. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Council President, council members. I have one item out of the Department of Infrastructure, the Division of Architecture. This is agenda number 10.34, resolution 23-469. It is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to Bill Leary for HVAC improvements at 394 Central Avenue, the new senior center. Publicly bid project. Thank you.
Jimmy?
Evening, Council President, council members. Jim Carroll on behalf of the Division of Human Resources. I have 5 resolutions I'd like to present to you tonight. The first item is 10.39, Resolution 23-474. And that is a resolution ratifying the renewal of a professional service agreement with San Tomasino Davis LLP to represent the city for our EEO independent investigations. That's an hourly rate of $150, not to exceed $125,000 per year. This is a renewal agreement with the law firm for a total contract amount not to exceed $250,000. Next agenda item is 10.41, Resolution 23-476. It's a resolution ratifying the award for a professional services agreement with Murphy Orlando to provide various EEO matters. This is an appointment of special counsel for these matters, and their hourly rate is $150 an hour, contract not to exceed $60,000. Questions? Third item, 10.42, Resolution 23-477. This is another resolution authorizing payment of claims for Murphy Orlando. Similar in nature, these were special EEO matters that had to be investigated. Total submission of the bill was $26,490. There is already an established account on this matter, and we just need approval to.
Was there a reason why it ended up being a claim here?
Yes, there was a error in one of the initial documents, so out of an abundance of caution, we wanted to just represent it to make sure we were in compliant.
Okay, thanks.
Agenda number 10.44, Resolution 23-479. Similar to the other matters, this is a resolution ratifying a professional services agreement with Cleary, Jacoby, Alfieri, and Jacobs to represent the city in various EEO matters. The service agreement would be renewed in the amount of $100,000, similar to the other rates, the previous EEO matters. We use various EEOs to just make sure that we're, not showing any favoritism on one firm. Any questions?
No.
And then the final matter I have is agenda 10.45, resolution 23-480. This is a resolution of the governing body, certification of compliance with the United States Equal Employment Opportunity Commission's enforcement guidance on the consideration of arrest and conviction records in employment decisions under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. As you know, every year when you adopt your budget, you have to, the council is required to review this compliance document and to ensure that that you are familiar with the documents. I can go into a dissertation if you'd like to on this, or if you're familiar, it's up to you.
Is it us certifying that we, the council, are in compliance, or we're certifying that the city is in compliance?
Basically, it's in the format, it shows that through my representation, we demonstrate that we are in compliance with this provision. The provision is pursuant to PL 2017 C-183, and you've familiarized yourselves with the contents of the documents that we have submitted, which is the United States Equal Employment Opportunity Commission's enforcement guidance on consideration of arrest and conviction records in employment decisions for Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 as amended by 42 USC Section 2000E et sec. As of April 25 of 2012. I provided in the copy of the documents, the regulations that are there, and I've reviewed all of the documentation, and we are in compliance with the provision.
Okay.
All
Any
right,
further questions?
thank you.
Thank
Your
you.
time.
Risk management? Here for that. Roll. Okay. Who's that? Roll. Risk management.
Good evening, Council President, City Council members. I have one item for today, agenda number 10.24, Resolution 23-459. A resolution authorizing the City of Jersey City Risk Manager to issue a certificate of insurance naming Act Now Foundation Incorporated and Hudson County Department of Health and Human Services as an additional insured and authorizing the business administrator to execute an indemnification agreement with Act Now Foundation and Hudson County Department of Health and Human Services.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John? Oh, Jimmy, you coming back. You got one more.
Jimmy.
Apologies, Councilmember ABA lines just brought to my attention. Item number 10.38, resolution ratifying the award of a professional service agreement with San Tomasino Davis to provide training for the human resources staff concerning EEO matters and other types of training.
Question?
Great.
Thank you. John.
Good afternoon, Council. First one I have is item 3.1, ordinance 23-057. This is an ordinance authorizing the modification of the restrictive covenant at block 16301, lot 65, AKA 784-8 West Side Avenue. We've reached a proposal as of the end of the day on Friday. In order to remove the restrictive covenant, there's going to be a number of parking spots that will be available to the public for free during retail hours. We'll also be able to lease office space in the building for 10 years free of charge. We just pay for the utilities and insurance on the spot that we own. For 10 years after that, we'll be able to rent it for half the market value at the time. The next one is item 3.7, ordinance 23-063. This is an ordinance authorizing the city to enter into a lease with Liberty National Development Co. on the property at block 27503, lot 13 on the city's tax map, located at the foot of Chapel Avenue for the purposes of reinstating ferry service to the public. The reason we're putting the lease agreement for it on this, we're in the process of purchasing the property, which has already been authorized by the council, but we want to get the ferry service running sooner rather than later. And the closing time is going to take longer than that. So we're going to enter into a lease before we purchase the property. It'll either expire in 5 years or whenever we purchase the property, whichever occurs sooner. Okay. Next one is item 3.8. This is an ordinance authorizing the acquisition by purpose or condemnation of block 10601, lot 42, also known as 50 Journal Square.
I have a question on it. Was the Loews Theater notified? Has the SID been notified? We're having a meeting tomorrow morning with the SID, and I don't think they want to turn this into a park. No, it doesn't belong there. And I don't think a lot of the businesses around there are not in favor of this. The $10 million, John. I know he was selling the building originally. He had it sold and it was stopped by another member of the family. But $10 million, no.
I don't think we'd be taking it for 10 million, Councilman, but the idea here is that it's the property adjacent to the Lowe's Theater, and we can create some time a public park, which would, not a public park as you would imagine with, vast trees, because it's only one lot. So it'd be maybe a ticket booth, some communal area for residents that are attending the Lowe's. We'll work with the Lowe's group and the community groups on what it would look like aesthetically, but this is just to have the idea of that premise being associated with the Lowe's.
John, I want this pulled until I speak to the people in the community and, or not pulled, whatever, taken off the agenda for now. And I should have been notified of this. I know this has been for sale for quite a while and he was offered, it was up for sale for $10 million. I know the lawyer personally. I'm having a meeting with them tomorrow morning. And, so I want this taken off the agenda for now.
So Councilman, if respectfully, if you could have your meeting tomorrow and we could discuss it prior to Wednesday, I'd appreciate it. Because it's only a first reading, so it would take at least a month for us to bring it back for final approval with the council.
And what I object to is these things should be brought to my attention and all the stuff that's going on, they don't tell the council people and I'm tired of it, John.
I respect you, Councilman. I think this is a positive thing for the Lowe's that you've advocated for years. So we'll work with you on it.
I'll let you know what the other business people think. And as I said, if they don't go along with it, no.
Okay. Can I ask really what's currently there right now at 50 Journal Square?
It's where the old Journal Square Lounge and Pub used to be.
It's
the 5-story building.
5 or 6 story building, not occupied at the moment.
Yep.
Should go back to having businesses in there, law firms in there and stuff.
Any other questions?
The price tag is 10 million?
No, we got an appraisal in that was shy of 10 million, if I recall. I don't recall what the number was offhand, but it was not $10 million, if I'm not mistaken.
And that's what it was up for sale for 2 years ago. Actually, maybe 3 years ago. And I know the whole story behind it, and I'll talk to you personally on it, all right?
Wait, so we're buying this property? What are we doing?
Well,
10 million?
What we have to do is you have to do an appraisal for
Okay.
the use, and then we'd have to make an offer based on the eminent domain. Asking price from a real estate perspective and what the appraisal is a substantial change. Not anywhere near the $10 million.
Yeah.
We're not tied to the appraisal amount, but we can't go below it generally. That's the legal test if we were to go into eminent domain proceedings.
Got it.
Somebody said this would be an amazing cigar spot.
That's another vape shop.
He say park, he says spots.
At the cost of $10 million, Councilman.
Sell really expensive cigars.
Okay,
Should I move on?
yes, go ahead.
Okay. The next one is item 10.36. That's resolution 23-471. This is a fairly boilerplate one, removing a restrictive covenant at 595 Brand Hall Avenue. This was a property that we sold at public auction. Part of the requirement was that they had to do improvements to bring it up to code. They did that, I believe, in 1992, and the mortgage was never discharged at the time. Thank you. That's all.
Okay. Taken from the top. So first reading ordinances, items 3.2 through 3.5 were touched on earlier. Item 3.6, City Ordinance 23-062 is an ordinance amending Chapter A 352, enabling ordinances from the Jersey City Municipal Code designated Glenwood Avenue from Kennedy Boulevard to West Side Avenue as Peacock Way. Items 10.37, 10.37 and 3.8 were touched on earlier. On to our second reading ordinances. Item 4.1, City Ordinance 23-047 is an ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 218, multiple dwellings of the Jersey City Code of Ordinances of the City of Jersey City, New Jersey, to establish the right to counsel program for the Jersey City renters.
Any question? We want a light night. Everybody's good with this as best as possible. Okay.
I ask mines on Wednesdays. I don't ask questions on Mondays.
You know, that's why we want to move it forward.
Mondays is when you ask questions.
Wednesday.
Oh, this is when we ask our questions to make sure, and then the public come and ask theirs. This way they'll have their time. Everybody's good? Okay.
Duly noted. Item 4.2, City Ordinance 23-048 is an ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 160 Fees and Charges of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Jersey City by adding new section number 2 entitled Development Fees and to fund affordable housing.
Yeah, on this one, if I can update we also have two resolutions that accompanying this. This is 10.11 and 10.12. The resolution for 10.11, were the ordinance to pass, there has to be the development of a spending plan that ultimately has to be approved by the Superior Court. And this would refer the development of the spending plan to the Affordable Housing Trust Committee, obviously in working with HEDC. And then I would come back to the full council before it could be submitted to the Superior Court for review, and that this resolution just kind of formally refers it to the Affordable Trust Committee. And then just connected to that, so folks know, we have, as the city, been collecting the non-residential development fee, which we have discussed here. We were able to determine, working with the tax assessor's office, that there are $3 million that's been collected in that. And for us to be able to spend that, ultimately, we need to pass an ordinance and then a spending plan. So just so that's there. And then 10.12 refers a small amendment to the development fees to the planning board. So ultimately, the planning board would have to review and bring it back to the council. And that was a request from a couple council members so that it would exempt owner-occupied 1 to 3 family construction. So what it would basically say would be, if you are building a single family, 2 family, 3 family, and you intend to occupy it, so you're not doing it, you're going to live there, that you would not have to pay the fee. And then you would verify after 5 years that you're still there. That's what that does. And it would go to it has to go to the planning board and then come back to us. But it doesn't change the second reading ordinance that we're voting on Wednesday.
Solomon and Law Department, I just want to clarify. You just brought up part of it. Maybe you answered that question. Does the right to counsel provisions exclude the 1.5 fee for both? Well, you said it doesn't for new construction, but how about it? How about 1 to 4 family houses? I don't see anything in there. I think my fellow council people acknowledged, my fellow council people, I acknowledged it, but I just don't, I just want to make sure whether 1 to 4 families is excluded. I mean, where do we stand with these 1 to 4 families?
And while we're going from, so existing 1 to 4 family homes, there's no fee, right? It's only on new construction. And then this amendment that actually has to be reviewed and come before us would exempt owner occupied new construction for 1 to 3 families as currently written before us.
You're guaranteeing that the 1 to 4 families now, especially in Ward C, Ward D, and down in the south end of the city, they're exempt from this.
So, just to be 100% clear, to make sure there's no.
They have to live there.
So we'll just be clear. Existing homeowners don't pay the fee, right? You own your home. It only applies to new construction. So that's the first step. It has to apply to new construction. And then with this amendment, it would apply to new construction for 1 to 4 families if you are not going to live there, but it would not apply for 1 to 4 family new construction if you are going to live there. So it's owner occupied exemption.
If you're looking to flip the house, then you're going to pay the 1.5%.
In other words, a
That's it.
three-family home,
House flippers have to pay.
3-family home that the owner doesn't live there, they have to pay this fee.
Not if it exists today, no.
Of existing.
If it exists today, no.
Because this is all confusing.
It's all just the key first thing is new development. New development.
Okay. Go ahead.
So, and then going back to 10.11, with the spending plan for what is currently been collected for the non-residential commercial fees, to allow that to be RFP'd out for immediate rental assistance, because we know that the need is also right now, as opposed to 1 and 2 years from now.
Sorry, say that question again, Councilwoman.
10.11.
Yeah, so for 10.11, you had mentioned that part of the spending plan refers back to the money that is currently in the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. And should that money be able to be used for rental assistance, to immediately send an RFP out to make sure that that money can be used for temporary rental assistance now, instead of waiting for the office to be developed. I just want to make sure that
Yes.
that is part of this, because I know, as we discussed,
Yep.
there's an immediacy to this.
Correct.
And if the money is there, there should be some way to work with nonprofit or for-profit organizations that can do that. 'Cause I also understand
Yep.
that on the county level, they've gone through that money quickly.
So that is absolutely, and that would be written in the spending plan. There's 2 or 3 steps that have to take before we can spend that money. So it's first is you have to pass an enabling ordinance. Then you have to have that enabling ordinance approved at the Superior Court, and then you have to have the spending plan approved. But once the spending plan is approved, and the spending plan outlines and says, in year 1, here's how we're spending the money to get it out the door to help address the immediate need while additional steps are being taken. That's all in the spending plan. So it can't be spent until the spending plan is approved by the Superior Court, but once that happens, then it can be spent.
Let me ask this question. With the Affordable Housing Trust Fund as it is now, can't we allot some of that money for rental system? It's affordable. What's there now? You can take so much out of there now.
Yes.
Okay, and we can say we can start this program sooner than later. Because based on this law here, this law won't really affect people till almost 2 years, to be perfectly honest. Okay, but we know there's a situation in crisis now that people need rental assistance. And so is there a way, because based on my understanding of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund that we have now, okay, can we, this city, okay, put money aside? We say a certain amount, like the county did $1 million. Okay, can we say $1 million of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund? Can we take that and start rent relief program?
The answer is yes. And
Okay.
I will look at the law, and I'll find out exactly how and what mechanism that would be done.
Correct, because I've been doing a little research. I'm not a lawyer, but I've been doing a little research.
To clarify my point, that this is what I'm getting at, is that this money that we currently have does not have to wait for a spending plan. Should we decide to move immediately with
I
that?
think there's 2.
That's a different pot.
What can I say? 2, I think, and this law department can confirm, but I think there's 2 different buckets
Right.
of money.
Correct.
And so in the Affordable Housing Trust, there's money we've collected via the long-term tax abatement statute.
Correct.
And then there's money that we've collected via the non-residential development
Right.
fees.
Right.
Non-residential development fee money has to wait for the spending plan to be approved.
Correct.
The low-income housing trust money that comes from the long-term tax abatement law, I believe, can be spent.
Yes, it can.
And that obviously is at the discretion of the committee. And the spending plan we're talking about here is specific only to the money from the non-residential development fee, and then ultimately the residential development fee, which, if approved on Wednesday, would go into effect and then start collecting funds in the coming months.
The mandate's relatively broad as to how the expenses can be used, as long as it relates to providing housing in the form of expenses or construction.
Correct.
That will help with unaffordability issues.
So we can look into the Affordable Housing Trust Fund now, okay? And see if we can allot at least 1 million or 2, because I don't know how much is there exactly, how we can start a rent relief program, because the county has done this. Okay, we can have a conversation with them to see how they send out their RFPs to get it done. And this way here, the public can be helped now, because based on what I've been hearing coming to our council meetings, some people can't afford to pay rent. All right, so 2 years, just think, 2 years from now, people rent will increase. So some of those same people that's coming here will no longer be able to come, because they probably won't be able to afford to live here. So, you know, we're trying to think of a way now on how we can help the people now. So the Affordable Housing Trust Fund is a bucket. Now, what we do with the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, we normally lend it out for people who want to build affordable housing, but that's not the only thing you can use it for, and I'm aware of that.
Correct.
Okay, so we just want to see what we can do now with the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, at least $1 million or $2 million, depending on what's in there.
And
Go ahead.
we'll fast track that and we'll get you the answers right away.
I would, go ahead, John, you, yeah. Because I seen him getting up, I don't know.
We might need to tweak a few things, and with Peter, we'll take a look at it. But as far as the spending plan is concerned, the rental assistance program, if everyone wants to do that, should probably include it on there because it'll just cover the entire pot of money that's in the Affordable Housing Trust Fund at that point.
Okay, now, if we include it in here, it won't stop the process. That's what I want to make sure.
No.
And it would be clear that we can start that process now. And I don't want it to get tied up, waiting for an approval for the spending plan. That's what I want to make sure.
Yeah, I think we're fine.
Oh,
John, if we include it, we're including it right away, or do we have to delay to the next meeting?
Let's is there a draft spending plan yet that's attached to the referral resolution? Because I didn't see it on the agenda.
No, the idea is for the Affordable Housing Trust Committee to develop the spending plan. But again, the two buckets, just to clarify, right? The non-residential development fees that have been collected, you have to have a spending plan approved by the Superior Court to spend, which, in theoretically, we could develop the spending plan in 2 to 3 months and get it approved in the court in a couple months. So you're in a 3 to 6 month time frame.
Mm-hmm.
And there's obviously the money that's been collected through the the long-term housing tax abatement. Now, that I think defer to Peter and you, but my understanding is that that is money that the Affordable Housing Trust Committee could spend tomorrow. They don't have to have a spending plan approved by the court to spend that money, just per what's in our city ordinances, per any state enabling statutes, and per whatever else the committee has already agreed to fund with that money.
That's correct. We can move forward with the money that's already been collected. The spending plan is only for development fees, both non-residential and residential.
Exactly.
But if there's going to be any desire to use this money towards rental assistance, it should probably just be made part of the plan too. That way it can be submitted to the courts and it's not something that we missed going forward.
Hey, John, let me ask you one question. What about additions to 1 to 4 family homes? Originally, the fee applied. Does the introduced resolution exclude additions for owner occupied homes?
I think that's being handled by a separate,
Well, that's ordinance 4.2. Yes, additions are exempted. So any additions and renovations, you do not have to pay a fee.
Yeah, like if your house burns down or flooding, then you don't have to pay the fee.
okay, so I just want to be clear. Okay, so are we going to add that portion in with the Affordable Housing Trust Fund that we can do something now, or do we have to write a separate resolution? Because that.
no, we don't need to write a separate reso. The reso is very generalized. It's just referring the plan to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, but it's not there. So
we can move on that now.
yes.
So that's all I want in there. That's it. Okay. Okay, so we appreciate it. How much you never took it?
Okay. Item 4.3 was touched on earlier. Item 4.4, City Ordinance 23-050 is a bond ordinance providing the acquisition of and payment of purchase price of real property located at Block 9501, Lot 21 on the official tax map of the City of Jersey City in the County of Hudson, State of New Jersey, appropriating $17,200,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $17,200,000 bonds or notes of the City of Jersey City to finance the cost thereof. Item 4.5, City Ordinance 23-051 is an ordinance of the Jersey City Municipal Code, Municipal Council, for amendments to Chapter 345-21 of the Land Development Ordinance regarding applications and checklists, to make the zoning determination letter required upon staff request. Item 4.6, City Ordinance 23-052 is an ordinance of the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City adopting amendments to the Powerhouse Arts District redevelopment plan regarding the theater to be built on Block 11506 and the Constitution excuse me, of the nonprofit board that shall control the theater. Item 4.7, City Ordinance 23-053 is an ordinance of the Jersey City Municipal Council adopting amendments to the Route 440 Culver redevelopment plan to allow for interim uses.
Is this, is that the little parcel? Oh, no, that's Water Street. It's over, is that the hook of 440?
Yes.
Yes. Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Item 4.8, City Ordinance 23-054 is an ordinance by the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City vacating portions of West Side Avenue and Van Kuren Avenue, Jersey City, New Jersey. Next, 4.9, City Ordinance 23-055 is an ordinance to the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City adopting the expansion and amendments to the Green Villa redevelopment plan. New plan was attached just before I came upstairs, so the city planner, Tanya, contacted me to make sure the correct plan was attached, so it is attached to the ordinance. And last but not least, our last second reading ordinance 4.10, City Ordinance 23-056 is an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 3, Administration of Government, Article 11, Department of Safety, Public Safety, Sub-Article 1, Division of Police of the Jersey City Municipal Code.
Sean, on 4.10, I just want to see if we could, if this passes, if we could waive those 20 days for this ordinance effective immediately.
Oh. Wait, you're in favor of this?
This is their raises.
I know, look, Danny. First of all, Shay should have spoke about this when he was here. That's number one. And no one is more supportive of police than me. But how can people afford some of these prices? I understand that some of these rates can be as high as $160 to $170 an hour. And then we are going to potentially increase them every year with the amendment from last meeting. I mean,
Rich, this is something that the unions proposed.
I know the unions, and who's paying for it?
I understand that, but we could support what the union, they went to the unions and this is what they asked for.
Danny, nobody's worth $160 an hour. And then they're paying overtime if they work more than 8 hours. That was with the police department for years. If you worked an off-duty job and you worked 10 hours, that was it. Now you get overtime. I mean, I know the unions work this out, but some of this is,
Aren't they allowing for traffic enforcers as well and different?
Just to clarify on the fee schedule, there's an existing fee schedule. The base is 35, and then it works its way up based on if it's overtime, if it's a Sunday, a holiday, overnight. So, I mean, in a perfect storm, if a police officer is working, Christmas Sunday, overnight, on overtime, doing a traffic post, then yeah, he would be eligible for upwards of $180 an hour. But there's only a few days a year that would occur. And the reason for that is because of the compound interest of that day. What we're doing is basically moving the base fee from 35 to 75, and then everything still stays the same scale from there.
John, right here, it says $160 an hour. It goes $150, $160 an hour. Then down the bottom, it says private contractor, Sunday or holiday, $160 an hour, $170 an hour. Wow. I mean, I'm surprised the contractors aren't up in arms about this. I mean, I'm all for the police, but some of this is ridiculous.
Yeah. Again, Councilman, what we could do is we could put a diagram together on how those are triggered, but those are already existent. We're just asking to create the base to be a little higher, and they're already entitled to those additional fees at this time. But just for clarity, because I do understand where you're coming from, Councilman, but that's like Easter Sunday, overnight, or double time, off duty. It's like the perfect storm that individual would get that money.
$160, $170 an hour, John. I'll tell you, I don't know what's going on in this city. I feel sorry for the people or a homeowner. I think everyone in the council should have a copy of this.
And council members, I believe there's going to be a slight change to this ordinance if I'm incorrect.
So that involved the adjusting it to the consumer price index. Yes, and I think that would not be a substantial change. So
Right.
we can draft some language and get that to you, Sean.
Thank you.
Yeah, and John, as I said, nobody is more pro-police than me, and you should know that, and everybody here in the city knows it. But when you're paying 160, 170 an hour, come on, something's wrong.
Just to be clear, there's not a substantial change on this ordinance, correct?
No, the CPI adjustment would not be a substantial change.
It's a point of clarity, Councilman. If you're looking to waive the 20 days, we'd have to add a resolution for that.
Okay. So if we can just know before Wednesday whether we're waiving the 20 days, so then the law department can prepare the resolution waiving the 20 days. If not, it'll go into effect 20 days after the date of adoption.
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Next, we're going to be holding a public hearing on the 2023-2024 Central Avenue Special Improvement District Assessment Roll and Budget. Then after that, we're going to be holding a public hearing on the calendar year 2023 municipal budget. Just a reminder to everybody present and the council members that when we do that, we'll be adjusting the clock to 5 minutes because members of the public had 5 minutes when we are holding a public hearing on the municipal budget. Then I'll move it back to 3 minutes when we go to public requests for a hearing. Next, petitions and communications. Any questions or comments on item 6.1.30? Hearing none. Any questions or comments on Officer Communications 7.1 through 7.8? Hearing none. Any questions or comments on Reported Directors 8.1 through 8.5? And then moving on to our resolutions. First resolution, item 10.1, City Resolution 23-436. This is a resolution honoring the life, legacy, and achievements of Robert Byrne. This resolution should have been on the last meeting, but with all the emotions going on, we finally got it on, and I do appreciate the council's consideration on this. It means a lot to me personally, obviously, and I know to all of you as well. Item 10.2, Resolution 23-437. It's a resolution recognizing student 4, and we'll have the name of the actual student, correct, Councilperson Prinzary?
Correct. I just got them earlier today.
Perfect. And that goes with item 10.3 as well. Item 10.4, Resolution 23-439 is a resolution approving the appointment of Tamika Riley McReynolds to the Women Advisory Board of the City of Jersey City. Item 10.5 was touched on earlier. Item 10.6, Resolution 23-441 is a resolution appointing Stephen M. DeLuca as a member of the Jersey City Immigrant Affairs Commission. Item 10.7, Resolution 23-442 is a resolution appointing Ebony Aduferno as a member of the Jersey City Immigrant Affairs Commission. And item 10.8, Resolution 23-443 is a resolution appointing Sonia Dublin as a member of the Jersey City Cannabis Board Control.
Who's Sonia replacing on the,
Sure, Sonia is replacing Stacy Flanagan, who sent in her resignation. Okay, items 10.9 through 10.12 were touched on earlier. Item 10.13, Resolution 23-448 is a resolution, 1, introducing and approving the 2023-2024 budget of the McGinley Square Special Improvement District. Number 2, directing the city clerk to publicly advertise the budget and schedule a public hearing. And number 3, directing the tax assessor to prepare an assessment roll of properties within the district based upon the budget. Next, item 10.14, Resolution 23-449 is a resolution accepting the 2023-2024 assessment roll of the Central Avenue Special Improvement District of the City of Jersey City. Next, item 10.15, Resolution 23-450 is a resolution adopting and ratifying the 2023-2024 budget of the Central Avenue Special Improvement District of the City of Jersey City. Items 10.16 through 10.21 were touched on earlier. Item 10.22, Resolution 23-457 is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract to National Council for Behavioral Health, National Council for Mental Wellbeing, to train trainers of mental health first aid in 2023. Items 10.23 and 24 were touched on earlier. Item 10.25, Resolution 460, 23-460 is a resolution authorizing the execution of an affiliation agreement between Hudson County Community College and the Jersey City Department of Health and Human Services and providing internship or observation experiences to HCCC's health service students. Next, items 10.26 through 10.34 were touched on earlier. Item 10.35, Resolution 23-470 is a resolution of the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City authorizing the Planning Board to conduct a preliminary investigation to determine if 808 Pavonia Avenue, also known as Block 9404, lots 34 and 41, Block 10601, lots 38 and 39 and 41 on the tax map meet the criteria for an area in need of redevelopment without powers of condemnation as described herein pursuant to the local redevelopment and housing law NJSA 12A-1 exec. Items 10.36 through 10.39 were touched on earlier. Item 10.40, Resolution 23-475 is a resolution ratifying the renewal of professional service agreement with the law firm Brady Greenan LLC to represent Joseph Menendez and Mark A. Petroselli in the matter of Vanessa Gross versus the City of Jersey City.
Yes, this is a matter, it's a contract renewal. This should be a final renewal and final bills. We are close to wrapping this one up.
Okay.
Items 10.41 and 42 were touched on earlier. Item 10.43, Resolution 23-478. It's a resolution ratifying the award of professional service agreement with Murphy Orlando LLC to represent the City of Jersey City in the matter of Ann Doyle versus the City of Jersey City.
This is a new contract. The previous attorney who was representing the city on this matter was appointed to the Superior Court bench. His firm was just him. So with that appointment, his firm dissolved and we had to hire new counsel.
Okay, next, item 10.44 and 45 were touched on earlier. Peter, do you want to just go over the 1046 through 49?
Sure. 1046, a resolution ratifying the award of a professional services agreement. Sean, you gave me this one because of the pronunciation, I'm sure. With Chiesa Shahinian and John Tomasi, PC, to represent Jersey City police officers Leon Tucker and Saad Hashmi in the matter of Hiram Gonzalez. This should be Estate of Hiram Gonzalez versus City of Jersey City et al. We have hired trial counsel in this matter. This is involving a traffic fatality caused by a third party. The city's liable in this case. We've hired counsel on this matter to assist with the trial, which is scheduled for this fall. 10.47, resolution renewing a professional services agreement with Light De Palma Greenberg LLC to represent the City of Jersey City, Mark Bunbury, Scott Carbone, Mark Albies, and Stacy Flanagan in the matter of Sabrina Harold et al. Versus City of Jersey City et al. This is a renewal of the ongoing contract with various lawsuits involving the Recreation Department. We are currently working toward, we are still in discovery on those matters. I can give updates to the council offline if that's desired. 10.48, a resolution renewing a professional services agreement with Light De Palma Greenberg LLC to represent the City of Jersey City, Philip Zaki, James Shea, and various police officers in the matter of Leo Pinkston versus City of Jersey City et al. This is a renewal of the contract. This is the companion case to the Felipe Rodriguez matter, which we'll be speaking about momentarily. This is the individual who was subject to the traffic stop that then led to the incident comprising that matter. And finally, 10.49, resolution authorizing the settlement of the action entitled Miguel A. Feliz Rodriguez versus City of Jersey City, Jersey City Police Department, Philip Zaki, Public Safety Director James Shea, MD Khan, Keith Ludwig, Eric Kaczynski, Francisco Rodriguez, Enrique Encarnacion et al., docket number HUD-L-2498-18. Council, as you're aware, this was subject to a closed session of the council last week. If there are any other questions about this, I'm happy to address those offline.
Peter, just for clarification on 10.46, you said it should be the manner of the estate of?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, I'll make sure that gets corrected.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, council.
And sorry, Sean,
Yes.
on the deferred agenda, 11.5, that's 244 Bay Street. We had been just wanted to get one additional amendment in, just to make sure that there's appropriate rules around the roof. So we have an amendment with the law department, and so we would untable and then vote to amend. And I think the law department says it's non-substantial, but we can email the.
Okay. So that would just consist of, again, just like the council person Solomon had indicated, we'll need a motion to remove item 11.5 from the tabled agenda. And then we will hear the amendment on the record, and then we'll take a vote on the amendment, and we will vote on the ordinance if the council chooses to do so, to move forward to vote for the ordinance as amended.
And the amendment proposed is not substantial.
Right. And I'll be asking that again on Wednesday.
And I'll say the same thing on Wednesday. Mr. Clerk.
All right. So may I have a motion to adjourn at 5:35 PM?
Motion.
Motion made by Councilperson Saleh. May I have a second? Need that second. Councilperson Rivera.
So first and second.
On the motion to adjourn at 5:35 PM, all council members present, please say aye.
Aye.
We are out of here at 5:35 PM. Thank you so much, everybody present and everyone watching at home. Remember, teamwork makes the dream work. Stay safe. Have a great night.